When Starship Troopers hit theaters in 1997, it became an instant cult classic, a bold mix of sci-fi action, dark satire, and unforgettable one-liners. The film launched several young actors into the spotlight and left a lasting mark on pop culture. But nearly 3 decades later, fans are still asking, what happened to the cast? In this video, we dive into the lives of the stars of Starship Troopers and reveal where they are in 2025. Some went on to major Hollywood success, others took surprising career turns, and a few stepped out of the limelight entirely. Join us as we revisit the iconic cast, explore their journey since the film's release, and discover how Starship Troopers shaped their lives, both on and off the screen. Rue McClane, born on February 21, 1934 in Hilton, Oklahoma, portrayed the no-nonsense biology teacher in Starship Troopers in 1997 at age 63. Though her screen time was brief, she delivered a jarring monologue on survival and evolution with unnerving detachment, layering the film's fascist satire with a disturbing calm. Most viewers remember her as Blanche Devereaux in The Golden Girls, but few know the weight she carried behind the glamour. Raised in a deeply religious household, Rue endured a cold and emotionally withholding mother and an alcoholic father. Her early years were marred by feelings of inadequacy and repeated trauma, including childhood abuse that she only briefly hinted at in her later interviews. By the 1980s, behind the scenes of her TV success, Rue was spiraling through failed marriages, 6 in total, each more volatile than the last. She battled with chronic insomnia and became dependent on prescription sedatives, reportedly once passing out on stage during a live performance. Her 1997 casting in Starship Troopers came at a low point in her career, which had plateaued after The Golden Girls ended. Though she tried to reinvent herself with edgier roles and public activism, casting directors began to avoid her due to whispers of difficult behavior and erratic mood swings. She was known to lash out at assistants and co-stars, a truth she later tried to spin as creative frustration. Her autobiography, filled with frank details of her love affairs and breakdowns, was both praised and criticized for its raw tone. Her only child, Mark, struggled with addiction, and their relationship was strained, especially in her later years. After suffering a stroke in 2010, Rue died on June 3rd of that year, aged 76, in New York City. At her death, her estate was estimated at around $5 million, including real estate in Manhattan and royalties from decades of sitcom syndication. While Rue projected warmth on camera, her life was one of survival, heartbreak, and a relentless need to be seen beyond the role of a Southern belle. Denise Dow was born on February 21, 1958 in Honolulu, Hawaii, and took on the role of Sky Marshal Meru in Starship Troopers in 1997, age 39. Though her role was brief, her powerful and controlled presence made her an authoritative counterpoint to the film's chaotic war machine. Her calm resolve and sharp delivery left a lasting impression, even in limited screen time. Off-screen, however, Denise was fighting battles of her own that few ever saw. Raised by a strict Navy officer father, Denise moved frequently and was taught to suppress emotion in favor of performance and discipline. She struggled with identity throughout her youth, often being one of the only black students in majority white schools, facing covert racism and exclusion. Her entry into Hollywood was riddled with rejections and typecasting. Though she earned respect for her roles in Beverly Hills, 90210, The Guardian, and Insecure, Dow repeatedly expressed frustration at being seen only through the lens of her race. She reportedly clashed with network executives over stereotypical casting and once walked off a set when asked to act more urban. In 2003, she suffered a mental breakdown, quietly checked into a wellness facility, and returned to work months later, never addressing the incident publicly. Though admired for her professionalism, Dow was known to keep personal relationships at a distance, never marrying and rarely discussing her private life. Rumors swirled about a long-term relationship with a married producer, but no confirmations ever surfaced. One of her biggest career setbacks came when a directing project she helmed in 2016 was shelved indefinitely due to studio infighting, an event that left her emotionally crushed. She died on August 13, 2022 from complications related to viral meningitis at age 64. At the time of her death, her estate was valued between $1–2 million, consisting of royalties, a modest Los Angeles condo, and art investments. Denise's death stunned the industry, as many had not known she was even ill. Bruce Gray was born on September 7, 1936, in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and stepped into the role of Sky Marshal DNS in Starship Troopers in 1997, at the age of 61. On screen, he projected icy precision and calm brutality, an ideal mouthpiece for the film's satirical dystopia. Yet beyond the poised delivery and commanding presence, Gray's life was a patchwork of reinventions and buried traumas. Born into a volatile military family, Bruce moved frequently, never establishing roots or lasting friendships. His father, a U.S. Army colonel, reportedly suffered from severe PTSD and was verbally abusive, leaving Bruce with lifelong issues surrounding identity and emotional expression. After earning a master's in psychology, Gray's turn to acting was seen by some as a rebellion against his father's rigid expectations. His career flourished in Canada, but his ambition to break Hollywood repeatedly ended in disappointment. A rumored affair with a closeted TV executive in the 1980s was said to have opened doors, but ultimately backfired when Gray rejected an ongoing quid pro quo relationship. Although he never publicly acknowledged his sexuality, several biographies and former colleagues suggested that Gray lived a closeted life, a burden he carried into old age. His most painful professional blow came after being dropped from a major U.S. network pilot in the early 90s with no explanation. Insiders cited creative differences, but Gray believed he had been blacklisted after rejecting sexual advances from a producer. While he maintained a reputation for being methodical and respectful, his extreme privacy bordered on paranoia. He refused to allow assistants access to his home and once fired a manager for sharing his birth year publicly. He died of cancer on December 13, 2017 in Los Angeles at age 81. His estate, worth around $2 million, included modest properties in Ontario and Pasadena and investments in theater companies. Gray died with few close friends and no surviving immediate family, leaving behind a legacy defined by restraint, both in life and performance. Casper Van Dien, born on December 18, 1968, played Johnny Rico in Starship Troopers in 1997 at age 29. Rico was the square-jawed, all-American protagonist who began as a clueless high school jock and transformed into a hardened, morally ambiguous commander. The role was intended to be a satire of fascist militarism, but Van Dien played it with such sincere bravado that many fans missed the irony, cementing Rico as a cult sci-fi figure. Off-camera, Van Dien's personal life proved far more turbulent. Born into a family of military men and beauty queens, his childhood was rife with pressure to succeed and conform. His father, a decorated Navy pilot, reportedly belittled Casper's acting ambitions, while his mother pushed him toward modeling. Despite early success, Van Dien struggled to be taken seriously in Hollywood. After Starship Troopers, his career flatlined, with a string of direct-to-video films and failed pilots. In 2005, he was removed from a production due to what a co-star called erratic, inflated ego behavior. His first marriage to Carrie Mitchum ended in a contentious custody battle, but it was his second marriage to Catherine Oxenberg that drew tabloid frenzy. Their appearance on I Married a Princess exposed cracks in their seemingly fairy tale relationship, with allegations of infidelity and control issues surfacing after their divorce in 2015. He was also scrutinized for pushing their daughter into acting roles at a young age, sparking debate over parental exploitation. Van Dien has battled depression and public ridicule, but has slowly rebuilt his reputation through voice work and supporting roles. Now 56, he lives in California, recently remarried, and remains active at conventions and indie productions. His assets include a Malibu property, residuals from Starship Troopers sequels, and voice acting gigs with a current net worth estimated at $7 million. Despite the chaos, Van Dien remains a peculiar Hollywood survivor, part icon, part cautionary tale. Denise Richards, born on February 17, 1971, took on the role of Carmen Ibanez in Starship Troopers in 1997 at the age of 26. As a fiercely ambitious pilot loyal to the Federation, Carmen's emotional detachment and unapologetic rise through military ranks polarized audiences. Some praised her strength, while others resented her coldness. Off-screen, Richards' life spiraled into one of Hollywood's most scrutinized personal sagas. Behind the bright-lipped smile was a woman raised in a rigid, emotionally restrained Midwestern household, where affection was conditional and image meant everything. Her early modeling years in New York were reportedly riddled with exploitative encounters and aggressive pressure to conform to a hypersexualized image. After Wild Things, 1998, her fame skyrocketed, but so did behind-the-scenes tensions. On-set sources from The World Is Not Enough described Richards as extremely difficult, clashing with producers over wardrobe choices and allegedly walking off set during a confrontation over a sex scene rewrite. But her most public unraveling came during her toxic marriage to Charlie Sheen. The tabloid-fueled union devolved into legal chaos, restraining orders, leaked voicemail tirades, and allegations of drug-fueled rage. Sheen accused her of exploiting the kids for fame, while Richards alleged years of emotional abuse. Her reality show, Denise Richards. It's complicated further exposed the family dysfunction, showing explosive arguments and visible anxiety in her daughters. She has also been involved in several lawsuits over unpaid home renovations and mismanagement of her Malibu property. Though still working, she has become more of a reality figure than serious actress. Today at 54, Denise Richards is financially stable with a net worth of $12 million. Now, derived not just from her acting, but from real estate deals, skincare endorsements, and Bravo reality TV. But beneath the wealth is a legacy built not only on beauty and ambition, but public unraveling, Hollywood betrayal, and relentless survival in a world that once tried to discard her. Dina Meyer was born on December 22, 1968, and played Dizzy Flores in Starship Troopers in 1997 at the age of 29. Dizzy was a standout character, tough, fiercely competent, and emotionally rich, offering a rare female perspective in a male-dominated military sci-fi universe. Meyer's performance won over audiences, even if the character was abruptly killed off, a decision that still sparks fan outrage. Raised in Queens, New York, Dina's upbringing was a whirlwind of instability. Her father left when she was 8, and her mother worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat. Dina was bullied relentlessly in school for her boyish looks and often escaped into comic books and fantasy novels. After earning a degree in business administration, she risked everything to move to LA, living out of her car while auditioning. Though Starship Troopers put her on the map, Meyer struggled with typecasting. She was replaced last minute from a lead TV role in the early 2000s after reportedly clashing with producers over creative integrity, a euphemism for her unwillingness to play the sexy sidekick. Her most public heartbreak came when she was linked to a famous co-star who later mocked her on air, suggesting she was obsessed. She never married and remains child-free, openly discussing the pressures Hollywood puts on women to conform or vanish. Rumors of brief flings with female co-stars circulated, but were never confirmed. Privately, Meyer has dealt with autoimmune issues and was hospitalized twice in the 2010s, though she chose not to go public. Today at 56, she continues working steadily in television and voice acting, having rebranded herself in the geek convention scene. She owns a modest home in Burbank and has invested smartly in real estate and biotech stocks, placing her net worth at around $10 million. Though never a tabloid fixture, Meyer's resilience and defiance of industry norms make her one of the few from the Starship Troopers cast to maintain both relevance and dignity. Jake Buussy, born on June 15, 1971, played Ace Levy in Starship Troopers in 1997, also at age 26. Ace was the mouthy hotshot whose bravado masked deeper loyalty and camaraderie, becoming a fan favorite for his chaotic energy and over-the-top antics. But Buussy's real-life chaos often eclipsed his screen persona. The son of volatile actor Gary Buussy, Jake's childhood was a whirlwind of instability, peppered with substance exposure, endless parties, and sporadic disappearances by his father during drug binges. Jake was expelled from 2 high schools and was once caught breaking into a neighbor's garage during a teenage bender, an arrest record that quietly vanished thanks to Hollywood connections. Though he landed early roles in The Frighteners and Contact, he quickly earned a reputation for being erratic and unreliable on set. During the filming of Identity 2003, insiders claimed he showed up drunk more than once, allegedly clashing with co-stars and locking himself in his trailer during a 3-hour breakdown. His biggest professional implosion came when he was fired from a lead role in a TV pilot after punching a camera operator during a dispute about lighting. Despite this, Buussy managed to avoid full cancellation, partly due to his cult status among sci-fi fans and his willingness to take any role, no matter how low budget or bizarre. His romantic life has also been turbulent. A long-time on-again, off-again relationship with actress April Hutchinson ended after she filed a restraining order in 2012, citing emotional manipulation and threats. Though he later welcomed a child, he has largely kept family life quiet. Some speculate it's due to strained custody arrangements. Now 54, Buussy lives in a modest property in Los Angeles and scrapes by with B-list horror sequels, Comic-Con appearances, and occasional podcast gigs. His net worth hovers around $1 million, a far cry from his 1990s promise. In truth, Buussy's life has been one long rock and roll detour through Hollywood's back alleys, a mixture of wasted potential and stubborn survival. Neil Patrick Harris, born on June 15, 1973, portrayed Carl Jenkins in Starship Troopers in 1997 at the age of 24, a cold, mind-reading military officer whose psychically assisted strategies veered into moral darkness. Carl's severe wardrobe and distant gaze marked a shocking turn from Harris's child star image, and many viewers first glimpsed his transformative range in that moment. But behind the genius casting was a life steeped in contradiction. Harris was a prodigy raised in a conservative New Mexico household, where his early success as Doogie Howser brought not only adoration, but crushing expectations. He spent his teens fending off inappropriate advances from powerful industry figures, a secret he only hinted at in coded interviews years later. After coming out publicly in 2006, Harris became a symbol of gay pride in Hollywood, yet even his personal life has not been without drama. Rumors of an open marriage with David Burtka have circulated for years, and sources close to the couple have whispered about emotional third parties and quiet separations. Professionally, Harris has mastered reinvention, from musicals to awards hosting to prestige theater, but not without controversy. Behind-the-scenes reports from How I Met Your Mother suggest a tense power dynamic with co-stars, particularly with Jason Segel, whom Harris allegedly tried to edge out of certain key storylines. His abrupt exit from the Netflix series, A Series of Unfortunate Events, was never officially explained, though insiders point to control issues and demands to rewrite entire arcs around his performance. Despite this, Harris has maintained a pristine public image, thanks to meticulous PR management and calculated self-disclosure. He currently lives in a multi-million-dollar Harlem brownstone and manages several business ventures, including a magic-themed bar and children's book line. At 52, his estimated net worth stands at $50 million. Harris is the rare figure who survived childhood fame, reshaped his brand through charm and calculation, and concealed his sharpest edges behind Broadway lights and boyish smiles. Seth Gilliam was born on November 5, 1968 in Manhattan, New York, and took on the role of Sugar Watkins in Starship Troopers, 1997, when he was 29. Watkins was sarcastic, grounded, and fiercely brave, a soldier whose humor masked a readiness to die with dignity. Audiences responded to his relatability and grit. But off-screen, Gilliam's life has been far more turbulent. Raised in a strict religious household in Queens, he was often the target of bullying for his soft-spoken demeanor, leading him to develop what one acting teacher once called controlled rage as a performance tool. While Gilliam rose to critical acclaim with roles in The Wire and Oz, his career was nearly derailed in 2015 when he was arrested in Peachtree City, Georgia, for driving under the influence and possession of marijuana. The incident wasn't just a PR disaster, it temporarily cost him his standing on The Walking Dead, with AMC reportedly considering recasting his character. Gilliam later blamed exhaustion and stress, but sources close to him suggest a deeper struggle with substance dependency and cycles of isolation. He's known among colleagues to oscillate between bursts of creative energy and weeks of complete disengagement. Though married, Gilliam has never publicly discussed his personal relationships, and insiders hint at a rocky home life marked by repeated attempts to seek therapy and a separation that was never confirmed but quietly acknowledged among friends. Perhaps the biggest heartbreak in his career came when he was passed over for a lead role in a Spike Lee film in the late 2000s, allegedly after clashing with casting agents during the final round. Currently 56 years old, Gilliam lives a quieter life, working steadily but outside the spotlight. His net worth is estimated at around $1.5 million, spread across modest properties in New York and Georgia. Despite the setbacks, he remains one of television's most respected yet underrated talents. A man whose demons never fully consumed him, but came dangerously close. Clancy Brown was born on January 5, 1959 in Urbana, Ohio, and played the unforgettable Sergeant Zim in Starship Troopers, 1997, at the age of 38. His portrayal of Zim, a brutal, iron-jawed drill instructor, was both terrifying and strangely noble, cementing him as a fan favorite. Viewers love the twist when Zim demotes himself just to return to combat, embodying a sense of loyalty masked by militaristic madness. But beyond his rugged charisma, Brown's personal and professional life has been a study in contradiction. Raised in a deeply conservative household shadowed by his father's political ambitions, Clancy reportedly battled severe anxiety in his youth, something he disguised with bravado and obsessive physical training. Though widely respected in the industry for his discipline, stories from voiceover sets have described him as aloof, territorial, and at times demeaning to newer talent. While he's avoided public scandal, several insiders from animation studios allege he leveraged his status as Mr. Krabs to block casting decisions and sabotage potential rivals. His most devastating career moment came when he was quietly dropped from a major HBO pilot in 2003 after an outburst during a table read, something Brown never addressed publicly. Rumors suggest he demanded script changes and lashed out at producers in front of the cast. In his personal life, Brown is notoriously private, but acquaintances hint at long periods of estrangement from close family and a pattern of withdrawing after projects wrap. He has been married since the early 90s, though the relationship is rumored to have endured several unofficial separations due to his long absences and uncompromising nature. Now 66, Brown continues to work prolifically in television and games, his gravelly voice still in high demand. His current estimated net worth is $3 million, comprised of property in Los Angeles, residuals from voice acting, and decades of consistent screen work. Michael Ironside was born on February 12, 1950, and portrayed Lieutenant Gene Rashak in Starship Troopers, 1997, at the age of 47. His performance as the grizzled one-armed commander who delivers orders with ice-cold resolve and philosophical grit became one of the most memorable elements of the film. Rashak's death scene still haunts fans, embodying the brutal cost of militarism. Off-screen, Ironside's life has been a grueling journey shaped by violence and near-death experiences. Born into a working-class Toronto family with a physically abusive father, Ironside developed a hardened shell early, channeling trauma into creative writing and eventually film. He was stabbed during a street fight at 17, an incident that left him with permanent nerve damage. Though revered for intense roles in Scanners and Total Recall, Ironside's career suffered in the late 80s when he developed a reputation for being uncooperative on set, especially with younger, less experienced co-stars. Directors whispered of his unpredictable mood swings, suspected to be linked to painkiller addiction following a back injury in 1985. His most severe downfall came in 1992 when he was dropped from a high-profile sci-fi TV pilot after allegedly threatening a producer during a script dispute. Privately, his marriage to Karen Dinwiddie was strained by his health issues and long absences, though they remained together. Ironside was diagnosed with thyroid, prostate, and bowel cancer over the course of his life. Battles he quietly fought while continuing to work. Despite the intense, often villainous roles, those close to him described him as fragile behind the fury. Now 75, Ironside continues to act in voice roles in indie films, largely avoiding the Hollywood spotlight. His net worth is estimated at around $6 million, mostly from royalties and long-standing work in genre films. Though never embroiled in Hollywood scandal, the emotional toll of his past, the isolation of chronic illness, and his near dismissal from several major productions paint a darker portrait behind his steel-eyed persona. Patrick Mulun was born on September 27, 1968 in San Pedro, California, and played Xander Barkalow in Starship Troopers, 1997 at the age of 29. As the charismatic rival to Johnny Rico, Xander was polished, confident, and ultimately doomed. A role that played to Muldoon's strengths and image as a soap opera heartthrob turned big-screen contender. But behind the boyish grin and California charm lay years of inner conflict, scandal, and career derailments. Born into a broken home, Mulun grew up amidst financial instability and parental conflict. His early modeling career was a lifeline from poverty, but also exposed him to exploitative industry figures, some of whom he later hinted were abusive. While he gained fame on Days of Our Lives and Melrose Place, Mulun quickly developed a reputation for being erratic and hard to direct. Directors from early 2000s TV movies describe him as non-committal, sometimes disappearing mid-production, reportedly due to partying and alleged substance use. Though never arrested, insiders claim multiple film insurance policies refused to cover him after a disastrous shoot in 2004 that ended with physical fights on set and whispered allegations of harassment. His personal life hasn't fared better. A long-rumored relationship with Denise Richards imploded in public fashion, with tabloids speculating infidelity and emotional volatility. He's never married, and some suggest his inability to form lasting bonds stems from a narcissistic wound rooted in childhood abandonment. Musically, he's dabbled in a rock band that never took off, and he's produced several low-budget indie films, most of which lost money. The most painful chapter of his career was being recast in a major network pilot after the table read, allegedly due to erratic behavior and a shouting match with a co-star. Now 56, Mulun continues to work sporadically, primarily in direct-to-video projects. His net worth is estimated at $1.5 million, primarily from residuals, property investments, and licensing deals from the 90s. Marshall Bell was born on September 28, 1942, and portrayed General Owen in Starship Troopers 1997 at age 55, a role that perfectly fit his pattern of portraying enigmatic authority figures. His brief yet potent screen presence contributed to the movie's satirical take on fascist militarism. But Bell's life before acting was curiously veiled. He spent years in corporate consulting and behind-the-scenes coaching for CEOs before stepping into acting in his 40s, a rarity in Hollywood. Despite breakout roles in Twins and Total Recall, Bell remained a character actor, often overlooked in favor of more marketable stars. Behind his commanding demeanor was a man riddled with doubt and resentment over a late start and what he privately called age-based bias. Colleagues described him as unpredictable, prone to intense outbursts during rehearsals, and fiercely defensive about script rewrites. He clashed notoriously with a young director during an indie film in the early 2000s, allegedly walking off set for 3 days and demanding final cut approval, a demand that derailed the film's release. Despite his marriage to Oscar-winning costume designer Milena Canonero, their relationship has been said to be unconventional and distant, with long separations and quiet legal disputes over finances. Bell also battled depression in the late 1990s, entering a rehab facility under an alias, a fact buried for decades until it was leaked by a former assistant. He never had children and is known to live reclusively in Los Angeles. Today at 82, Bell occasionally appears in voice roles and horror conventions, but remains largely absent from mainstream film. His net worth is estimated at $2 million, largely due to wise real estate investments with Canonero. Though scandal-free by tabloid standards, Bell's Hollywood journey reflects a complex mixture of self-sabotage, late fame and inner turmoil veiled by professionalism and a deep, lingering bitterness. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of Starship Troopers and where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.